How's it going, guys? It's Adam here, and in today's video we're going to be talking about the iPhone 7 in 2024. It has been since 2016 that this was released, which is a very long time ago. It's about 8 years ago now, and so I thought it'd be interesting to kind of take a look back on this iPhone and see how it holds up now. We have an aluminum back as well as aluminum sides and a glass front. A pretty standard design for iPhones and just phones in general around this time. Even though the design is pretty dated, I actually like it a lot. I have a matte black design and it just feels in the hand so nice and actually really premium even in 2024, 8 years later. Not only that, but we also have an IP67 dust and water resistance, which can be submerged in water for up to 1 meter for 30 minutes, which is actually pretty good. We have a 4.7-inch display, which is covered and surrounded by huge bezels, as well as a 750p screen, which is really low, especially for 2024. The screen brightness is also pretty low. You don't get that many nits, so if you were in sunlight or something like that, you really won't be able to see it. In the shade, it will do generally okay, but even then, it will really tank the battery life, which is something I'll talk about in a little bit. So in terms of the speed, we got 2 gigabytes of RAM and an Apple A10 Fusion chip, which will perform okay for day-to-day tasks, but if you're doing anything 3D gaming related, it's definitely going to suffer. Going through the UI and just generally scrolling around actually will generally be okay. It's just when you get to more intensive things such as Call of Duty or anything that is more taxing on the processor. You also have to take into account that we are not on the latest iOS. It is upgradable to iOS 15, but that is literally the latest it can possibly go. There's not going to be any more updates, maybe besides some security updates or something like that, but generally it'll probably have almost no updates because Apple just doesn't support it anymore. Yes, it is unfortunate, but it did have 5 major updates, I believe, so that is pretty impressive in itself. But with the Apple A10 Fusion chip, like I said, it is alright for day-to-day, but you are going to want a different phone if you're going to do anything more intensive with that. Also, if you want something that is going to have the latest iOS, that is for sure. In terms of the camera, on the regular 7, we just have one 12 megapixel camera, which can record 4K at 30 FPS as well as 1080p at 60 FPS. As well, we have a 7 megapixel selfie camera, which can only record 1080p at 30 FPS, which definitely shows its age. So I'm going to take some photos and I'm going to show you the results. There's really not that much detail in the photos, and really the colors are washed out. However, what I will say is that sometimes the HDR can actually be alright in some pretty challenging scenarios, so that was kind of surprising there. But generally, the performance with the camera is kind of disappointing, though it is better than expected considering that it is an 8-year-old phone. So like I was talking about during the display, we were going to talk about battery life. And so with this phone, we have a very small, less than 1960 milliamp hour battery. And that is really small, especially for 2024. It was even a pretty bad battery back in 2016, but now it's even worse, especially with battery degradation and using it over the course of 8 years. When someone uses it for that long, it's obviously going to have some wear and tear on the battery. So how does it hold up? Well, the battery obviously is very disappointing. You can generally get about 2 to 3 hours of screen on time, and that is if you're lucky. If you're playing any intensive 3D games, like I was talking about with the performance, it's definitely going to suffer, and first of all, not perform that great, but second of all, it's going to drain your battery. So it's pretty bad for the battery life. So overall, should you buy this phone in 2024? I personally would definitely not recommend it unless you're a extremely light user and don't really care about not getting software updates. I definitely personally would, mostly just because of possible breaches that could happen when using an older phone. Obviously, it's less likely with iPhones, but it's always good to have security updates to patch up your phone, and though you might get some on the iPhone 7, you're not going to be getting them consistently, and as a result, I definitely wouldn't recommend this phone to most people. But anyways guys, thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. I know it's slightly lower quality than my other videos. I am currently in college, but thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next one.